feet in the black. Nobody driving. We're in the back to the end of the world.
Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to day 14 of Write With Me. Working on the Ballad of Garvin Hackett. Let's get started. So, for those of you who are new, welcome to live screenwriting, the Ballad of Garvin Hackett, a movie script being written completely from scratch. The log line is The Ballad of Garvin Hackett is an ironic, darkly comic take on 90s action movies. Forrest Gump meets Scarface, directed by Sidney Lumet, except the laws of physics actually apply. Instead of going the traditional development route, I'm writing this movie directly to you to visualize later as a, I'm going to change that to visualize. As a cinematic graphic novel. So that's the that's the path this thing is on. So grab a notebook or a keyboard and write along with me. And if you want to follow along from the beginning, then check the Liminal Boundaries Channel, which you can find a link in the description. It looks something like this, right? And there you can see all of the videos, including the Screenwriting Masterclass, which covers a lot of the concepts that I go over and use when I'm writing. So, and they're really good if you're doing any sort of writing. So that's it. These are all the episodes. Let's get to it. Where are we at today? What are we doing? Let's see. Okay, so today's topic, if you will, today's theme is character research. And if you look at our research question, we've done a lot of research on Garvin's father, Garvin's girlfriend, Joel Gillette, the bad guy, Garvin himself, and Garvin's mom. Now we're going to Roger Gust. Roger Gust is because it takes place in 1994, Roger Gust is one of those tabloid TV reporters, kind of like a Geraldo Rivera character. So the first, these are questions about Roger, so we should probably get Roger's character notes up and his story notes up, and that way, when we get this information, we can see where to put it. So let's see. So there's Roger Gust. There's his character sheet. Let's pop that open, and let's go back to the stories. And there's Roger Gust's story sheet, and we'll pop that open. And so the whole idea today is to go through and add some notes, and then maybe synthesize, like bring them into his story and character, but we'll see. Let's see where Roger is. So let's look at the notes. Let's look at what we have together, and then that'll give us a baseline for what we can build on with the research. So his name is Roger Gust. He's a tabloid reporter, Robert Downey Jr., playing a cross between Jerry Springer and Geraldo Rivera. That's how I imagine him. Game is to maximize his ratings. Okay. His strategy is unscrupulousness. And he's got his 4 decisions. So this is his arc. Let's see what it looks like. Ambush, interview Garvin's mom on camera about the death of her husband before the police notify her. Decision 2, make a deal with Garvin to get tips before Garvin kills somebody. So Garvin's killing people, the rival gang, and so he wants Garvin to give him a heads up so that he can get there sooner. And then he interviews Garvin's girlfriend, who reveals Garvin's identity. Basically, the jig is up, or the gig is up at that point. And then interviews Garvin after the massacre. When Garvin gets his revenge, he's there for the interview. So he finally gets his interview. Okay, so we have some show names, and I think I went with Panic Button. Show name, Panic Button. I think I'm going to go with that. The other one's Flashpoint, but I think Panic Button is funnier. Maybe we'll have a panic room, in the story. And Roger should take some cash in James Roberts' wallet. Then later he buys something for Garvin with the charred cash. That's funny. Oh my god, that's funny. Okay, Roger could show up with his crew before Garvin does, and the mobsters just run away. They watch TV to see what happens. Actually, that is... Oh, yeah. Here's an idea. So, Garvin tells Roger where there will be a killing next. Roger shows up, and the gangsters all scatter. When they go to the safe house, Garvin is waiting for them. So basically, Garvin uses Roger to kill a bunch of guys at once. Basically, he has them show up, and then at this point, everyone... Okay, so let's just put this in the story. At this point, everyone watches Panic Button. So when they're watching it live, and they see their own gang members dead every day, dying every day. So today, Roger shows up live outside, and they see their location. I got to think about what kind of location it is. I think I have a few locations in mind, but we can see which one we can use. They see their location, so they all scatter. Oh. What if there's a choke point? There's a natural choke point. So let me bring this up so you guys see what I'm doing. There's a natural choke point where they all wait at the red light. Garvin shows up with his machine gun and blows them all away. And that's, you know, that's the end. There's a choke point there, right? So I like it. All I need is a good location for this, which I have some ideas for this. But this is great. Already an idea generated from just using the tools. Okay, so where were we? Yes. So his show name is Panic Button. He should take some cash in James Roberts' wallet. Then later he buys something for Garvin with the charred cash. That's really important. Roger should show up with his crew before Garvin does, and the mobsters just run away. They watch TV to see what happens. Garvin tells Roger where there will be a killing next. Roger shows up and the gangsters all scatter. When they go to the safe house, Garvin is waiting for them. At this point, everyone watches the Panic Button. So when they're watching it live and they see their own gang members dying every day, so today Roger shows up live outside and they see the location, so they all scatter. There's a natural choke point where they all wait at the red light. Garvin shows up. Yeah, this is really funny. And then he is preferably at 8 p.m. That's really funny. So we can catch it live. That's such a Roger Gus thing to do. All right. So that's good. We got some stuff. All right. So that's Roger's character sheet. Let's look at it again. His name is Roger Gust. He's a tabloid reporter. Robert Downey Jr. playing a cross between Jerry Springer and Geraldo Rivera. Maximizes ratings. Unscrupulous. Ambush interview Garvin's mom on camera about the death of her husband before the police notify her. Make a deal with Garvin to get tips before he kills his next victim. And someone, and then preferably at 8 p.m. so we can watch it live. And then decision 3, interviews Garvin's girlfriend. That's going to be Tammy Lynn. We know her name now. Who reveals Garvin's identity. And then interviews Garvin after the massacre. There you go. And then Roger should take some cash in James Roberts' wallet. Then later he buys something for Garvin with the charred cash. Roger should show up with his crew before Garvin does. And the mobsters just run away. They watch TV to see what happens. Yep. And then Garvin tells Roger where there will be a killing next. Roger shows up. And the gangsters all scatter. Yep. When they go to safe off, Garvin is okay. When they run away, when they hit a choke point, Garvin is waiting for them. At this point, everyone watches Panic Button. So when they're watching it live, okay. So okay. So Garvin calls Roger. Hopefully you guys can read this. Let's go bigger. So, and tells him where the next killing will be, where and when the next killing will be. Right. We'll figure out exactly where later. Okay. And then where the next killing will be. And then at this point, everyone watches the show, the Panic Button show. Especially the gangsters, to keep up with who's dying. With the killing spree. So the gangsters are watching it live. When Roger shows up with a live camera crew, with a live broadcast crew. And then the gangsters realizing they are next, all scatter. When they hit a choke point, Gavin is waiting for them. Okay. Garvin uses a machine gun. And blows them all away. So basically he set up a machine gun nest when they come outside. Maybe when they're running. And that's it. Yeah. Alright. It's pretty fun. Okay. And then maybe the cops come talk to Roger. After this. That's pretty funny. Okay, so that's the scene. And let's go back to our story. So let's get our Roger Gus story. So we haven't covered that. This is the story sheet. We got our setup, escalations, a twist, and a resolution. So let's see what we got. So Roger discovers James Roberts' Charles wallet and wants to get the story. Yep. Escalation 1. Interview Garvin's mother before the police have notified her of James Roberts' death. And ends up covering Garvin's revenge walk live, abandoning Garvin's mother for the more interesting story of the kid with the M60. He sees Garvin at a crime scene and bribes Garvin to give him an interview, or at least tips ahead of his next killing. Garvin refuses. He interviews Tammy Lynn, revealing Garvin's identity. Garvin calls Roger, telling him where to meet to get his story, the Vanta massacre. Right? And then, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's how he kills the Vanta gang. Yes, that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. Okay, so let's see. Where's Roger Gust? Okay. How Garvin kills the Vanta gang. And there it is. So there is no cops talk to Roger after this, because he uses his M60. And that makes sense, because he only gets his M60 at the end, so we can use the M60. So he gets a high point when they all show up. Okay. And then let's go back to Roger Gust. Okay, so that's good. We already had it as a twist there. So that's our twist. That's how he does the Vanta massacre. And then resolution. He finally gets the interview with Garvin at the Vanta gang massacre. Great. So Roger Gust is in a James O'Keefe moment where a fat Mark realizes he's been duped and he's on camera and he tries to win Ray, but he's really fat, so he falls down. Okay, that's really funny. When can I use this? I mean, that would be a great way to introduce Roger Gust's character. But you can also introduce him at the scene of the crime, so it's redundant, right? It's like one of these good scenes that then you'll cut in editing. So I got to figure out a way to stick this in somewhere. Let's see. Oh, this is, oh yes, I can stick this in when Garvin calls, right? When Garvin calls. This is what Roger's doing. All right, cool. So that could be at the end that sets up for the massacre. Maybe he sues him later. Maybe I'll let that idea go. Roger starts by just wanting to arrive. Then he wants to film it. Then maybe he wants to direct a little, suggest targets. And at some point, Roger potentially crosses a line where he's not just documenting crime, but shaping it, which puts him in moral jeopardy and gives the relationship sort of go dramatically. I think I'm taking this away because I don't think Garvin would assent, right? Would consent to this kind of an arrangement. So I'm going to take it away because he does want to film it and he does get his live stuff. So he crosses the moral line when he interviews the girl, and he crosses the moral line when he meets Garvin. We haven't figured out how to get him to meet Garvin, so I'm just going to take that away. And I'm going to take this away. I really don't know where else I can put Roger unless there's a freak situation where, okay, I got an idea. So when Garvin calls, this is what Roger is doing, or maybe through dumb luck, this is a coincidence. He's infiltrating the Booby Boys or something. And Garvin is killing people. And that's how Roger meets him. Garvin shoots the camera lens. Our cameraman. Shoulder cam. So they can't record it. Okay. Okay. Let's say the fat guy. Okay. So this is all messy, but at least we have an idea in there about how Roger can actually meet Garvin, which we hadn't really figured out yet. So I think just dumb luck, right? If Roger realizes, yeah, the fat guy could be from the Booby Boys gang, and he's interviewing him, right? And he's like, do you realize you're on Roger Gust? You're being recorded right now, you know, kind of thing. And he's like, ugh. Yeah. Okay, that's a good idea. I'll figure this out. So it's, I don't know, like it could be for the, yes. So there's actually two scenes here. That's what's happening. There's two scenes. So the scene one is Roger meets Garvin. And then scene two is Garvin offers Roger a tip. Right, or Garvin tips Roger off. Boom. Okay. So this is good. So then here, when Garvin tips Roger off, so we have this, we can do this. So he's, let's see. Yes. Roger Gust in a James O'Keefe moment where a fat Mark realizes he's being duped and he's on camera. And he tries to run away, but he's really fat and falls down. Okay? And maybe Roger is interviewing the Booby Boys or infiltrating undercover to get info. So they are on Booby Boys turf. When Garvin shows up and starts killing people. Yep. And then that's how Garvin and Roger meet. Okay. And then I like it. Okay, and then Garvin tips Roger off. Look at this, we're doing research, and before even doing research, we're getting ideas, so you got to get them down. I'm going to start the timer too, because we might go over here. We're already, I want to make sure these things don't get too long. So when Garvin calls us, okay, so let's go here. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The fat guy has a bandage all over and he's suing because he was assaulted. That's funny. Has bandages all over and he's suing. Maybe Garvin is maybe Roger's at court, right? Or maybe Roger's at a deposition. Right? Then he gets the call from Garvin. If he wants a story. Meet him at X at 8 p.m. Right? And that's where you get the live situation. And that's where you get and Roger shows up at the Vanta headquarters. I don't know what they do, like the Vanta gang headquarters. Let's say it can't be Roger Gust's house because it's probably something in the docks or something, right? And everyone is watching, right? And that's it. Boom, it's done. Two scenes done of how he meets Garvin. Great. This is good. This is really good. A lot of progress. Okay, so let's go back to the research questions though, because now let's go to the story again, just to get the story one more time. So Roger discovers James Roberts' charred wallet and gets the story. He interviews Garvin's mom. He sees Garvin at the crime scene and bribes Garvin to give him an interview. Garvin refuses, and we just wrote that scene. So that's Roger meets Garvin. Okay. And then he interviews Tammy Lynn. And then this is Garvin tips Roger off. So we kind of just wrote those scenes, right? And then resolution, he finally gets the interview with Garvin at the Vanta Gang massacre. Great. So that's it. That's we've got a lot on Roger Gust here. So let's go into the research questions. And I think we've got a good bead on what his strategy is, which is he is unscrupulous. That's the perfect name for Roger Gust's strategy. So we've got that one taken care of. How could Roger Gust learn about Garvin's address before the police? And I think it's the wallet. So we've done that. Right? The charred wallet. And then that's done. Okay. And I think we've got that in his... You got to make sure you have it written down, right? So let's see. Okay. Yes. So decision one. Okay. Roger finds James Roberts' wallet. Charred wallet. Come on. Charred wallet. Gets the Polaroid. Takes the cash. And maybe hands it to the cops. I gotta look that up. Okay. And then later Roger buys something. So this is gonna happen later. And I'm wondering if he might take the wallet. Oh, yeah, maybe the cameraman, yeah. So So here's the idea. There's this D1. He probably takes it. And when the cameraman asks him, aren't you going to give that to the cops? Roger says, that's obstruction is a crime. Or something like that. I gotta look that up. Let's do a little research on that, because that's the next research question. Right? Let me see. Yes, the James Robert wallet. Here's what I was looking for. If Roger Gust discovers James Robert wallet at the scene of the crime and takes pictures of it with his Polaroid camera and then dumps it back on the scene, if he hands it to the police, would the police then, and then goes to Garvin's house, would the police consider that obstruction? Whereas if he throws it on the ground, yeah. This is the question. Okay, so let's do some research, guys. Moving into research mode. Boom. Let's go with Gemini. Gemini's pretty good for this. Hey Gemini, so I'm writing a story, and here's the background. There's an unscrupulous tabloid reporter. This takes place in 1994. There's been a gangland shooting in Miami and South Florida. The police are there. There's a task force people, and then there's the tabloid reporter Roger Gust. Now, Roger Gust finds at the crime scene a charred wallet, which is the wallet of the guy who got blown up. And he follows that lead to the house where he interviews the wife, who hasn't been informed yet that her husband is dead because the police basically just got there. So the question is, originally I was thinking that he would find the wallet, take a Polaroid of it, and then hand it to the police, because otherwise that would be obstruction. But now that I think about it, I wonder if the safer move for Roger wouldn't be to just keep the wallet. That way the police never finds out he's got it, and they take longer to discover the guy's identity, and then he can show up at the house and interview the lady. It's much more unscrupulous, but in a sense it's safer because he's the only one who knows. Right? So what do you think? Is that plausible? Talk to me. Let's see. There we go. Oh, that is beautifully sleazy. Honestly, it's a massive upgrade for Roger's character, and it fits the dark, cynical world of 1990 South Florida tabloid journalism perfectly. You are completely right. Pocketing the wallet is a much more unscrupulous move, and narrative-wise, it gives Roger a massive, active role in driving the plot. Here's why your new idea is highly plausible, along with a few era-specific realities from 1994 to keep it airtight. Why it works. In 1984, crime scenes were messy and communication was slow. There was no smartphones, body cams, or instant digital database uploads. The chaos factor. If a guy just got blown up in a gangland hit, the initial response is absolute bedlam. Fire department, paramedics, uniformed cops, all looky-loos and looky-loos everywhere. Roger slipping past a poorly taped perimeter, spotting a piece of debris the first responding cops missed, and shoving it into his trench coat pocket is 100% believable. The identity delay. Without the wallet, the police are stuck relying on the car's license plate if it wasn't stolen vehicle used in the hit, dental records, or waiting for a missing person report. This buys Roger a massive window of time, potentially hours, if not a whole day, to get to the house before a notification detective does. The calculated risk. Why it's safer but tense. You mention it's safer because he's the only one who knows. It is safer from an immediate getting caught by the cops scene perspective, but it introduces a fantastic layer of psychological tension. The chain of custody. If the cops eventually figure out that he was at the scene and he somehow miraculously scooped the wife before they even identified the body, a smart detective is going to suspect Roger stole evidence. Roger knows this. He has to play the high-stakes game of acting like he stumbled onto the wife's name through street sources of an anonymous tip. The mob factor. It's a gangland shooting. If the guys who blew up the car realize the reporter walked away with the victim's personal effects, Roger isn't just hiding from the cops, he's hiding from the killers. Not for my story, but that's kind of interesting. Because remember, in my story, it's an accident. This makes the scene with the wife so much more chilling. Roger sits in her living room, looking at the woman who thinks her husband is just late for dinner. He has been dead He has the dead man's charred, smoking leather wallet sitting in his pocket right that second. He can ask leading manipulative questions. Oh my God, he could use the wallet. That's a great idea. Damn, that's a good one. Okay, so where was I? Here we go. So let me just get this out, and then let's see. Yes. Okay. So the interview. Let's just make a scene. And we go, Roger shows Garvin's mother the charred wallet. That's dramatic. But let's see if we can get away with that. Logically, in terms of, sorry. Wrong one. Let's see if we can get away with that in terms of safety. For legal safety. So we'll go here. Okay, so what if Roger pockets the wallet, gets the information, and then he shows up at the house, and the police suspect there's something going on, but he actually shows the wallet to the mother, right? To Beatrice. And she faints, right? And then the police do arrive because they've traced the plate, just as Garvin's fugue state happens. You don't know about this probably, but yeah, there's a son involved, and Garvin gets distracted by something the son is doing, and because it's a better story, and immediately abandons the mother. But the point is that if he shows her the wallet, but it's not on camera, right? Could he have plausible deniability that somebody gave it to him, or would that be a crime? Like, could the police prosecute him? In other words, if the police confront him about him showing the wife the wallet, could he reasonably say, a source gave it to me? Let's see. Oh, I love where this is going. The image of him dropping the charred wallet onto the coffee table, watching Beatrice collapse, and then immediately getting distracted by the son, because that is the weirdest, better story. That is peak sociopathic tabloid energy. It's fantastic. Thank you. To answer your big questions, yes, he can absolutely claim a source gave it to him. Yes, it gives him excellent plausible deniability. In 1994, reporters' right to protect their sources was an incredibly strong shield, especially in Florida. However, when the police could prosecute him or make his life a living hell depends entirely on how smart Roger plays it. Here's how the legal and practical chess match between Roger and the cops would actually play out in 1994. The legal shield laws and the First Amendment. If a detective confronts Roger and says, Beatrice says you showed her the victim's wallet, that wallet was secured at a crime scene, you stole evidence, Roger's immediate practice response is, I didn't steal anything, I was standing outside the yellow tape, a guy wrapped in a windbreaker nudged me. This is really funny. Snipped me the wallet, cops missed this and vanished into the crowd. I don't know who he was, and even if I did, First Amendment protects my sources. Talk to my papers lawyers. Okay, so this is actually funny. In 1994, Florida court heavily recognized reporters' privilege. Okay, cops just couldn't arrest journalists. Can the police still prosecute him? Technically, yes, they could charge him with obstruction or tampering, but here's why it's incredibly hard. No chain of custody. They never logged the wallet in. Okay, he said, she said. Tabloid legal team, mid-90s tabloids had massive legal budgets. Okay. The cop realpolitik, how they would actually handle him. Because legal prosecution is a nightmare, the cops wouldn't try to lock him up right away. Instead, they would use street justice and intimidation. If the lead detective figures out what Roger did, they aren't going to read him his rights. They're going to corner him in the driveway, slam him against the car hood out of sight of the cameras, and say, listen to me, you ghoul. I know you took that wallet. If you print a single detail from it before we release it, I will put your press pass. I will pull your press pass. I will leak your rival papers to your rival papers that you're a police informant, and every uniformed cop in Miami will pull you over for broken taillight every single day of your life. Okay, so I kind of like the idea, but I'm not going to go with their version of it. It's kind of interesting, though. In other words, it adds drama for the police interactions with Roger. So I do like that. But I am going to paste this in. I'm gonna paste this in to Roger Gust's. I'm thinking to his character sheet because this feels like a character thing. Let me see. Okay, just gonna paste this in here. Call it notes for now. Okay, so you guys can see it. Here you go. So boom. Okay, let's Roger Gust. Okay, so here we are. Here's the notes. So yes. So cop, investigator. Okay. So detective. So there's gonna be a detective character at this point because we have to, you know, they were supposed to be minor characters, but maybe they won't be. I didn't steal anything. A guy in a wrapped in a windbreaker nudged me, slipped the wallet into my hand, and whispered the car. You know what? What kind of windbreaker it is? Oh, shoot! What was that? I gotta get this. Hold on, guys. You're gonna love this. If you know what I'm talking about, you're gonna love this. Let's see. What was the name of those windbreakers that were sort of Formula One themed or adjacent in like the late 80s, early 90s? Do you remember which ones I'm talking about? I think when you see, you're gonna. Benetton, Swingster. No. No. No, maybe it was the 80s. They were like dark metallic black or blue. And I think David Hasselhoff was a spokesman at some point. Let me see. Turbo Hopper. Let's see. Nico or Tycho. No, none of those ring a bell. I wanted to say Recaro, but they make seats. They didn't make jackets. God damn, man. These jackets, they're very specific. I'm not gonna get hung up on this. I'll just put a note. I think, yeah, I think they might have been members. What happened? Why did your response change? I think it was members only. Yeah, I think it's members only. I think that's the one. Let's see, guys. I'm gonna switch over to members only jacket. And get some images. I just want to make sure that these are the ones. Yep, that's them. The members only jacket. That's awesome. I'm just gonna go 80s. I can't believe they're still around. These look recent. Yeah, I love it. Okay, this is so good. Is that? Okay. Dude, I gotta get a members only jacket. Where can I get one? That's the one. That's the 80s members only jacket. I gotta get that. Black. I might actually buy one for fun if I can find one. They have them all over the place apparently. They have them on eBay. That's it. That's the members only jacket. They had the leather one. Amazing. But the one I'm talking, this is it, I think. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'll go with that. Damn, these pictures are so small. This one's pretty big. Open a new tab. Great. That's not what I wanted. Let's open the image in new tab. That's what I wanted. Boom. And I'm going to copy image. And I'm going to throw this into one of my lookbooks, guys. So this is great. I can bring back the members only look. Let's go. You guys can't see this yet, but what I'm doing is pasting it into Garvin's lookbook. And I will show you the lookbooks soon. They're coming. They're coming. So don't worry about it. All right. So back to writing. So let's go. There's the writing. And let's go back to this. Okay. Yes, members only. That's the one. That's the one. Open link in your tab. They actually showed it. This is pretty great. Here it is on eBay. Copy image. Open image in your tab. Let's take a look at this. Now that we're here. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Bang. Look at that banger. So copy image. I'll just throw it real quick into Garvin's lookbook for you guys as a surprise later. All right. So we can delete these now. Let's clean up after ourselves. We don't want to be messy. Great. All right, go. Got the rounds, some machine gun rounds. Okay. So we're good here. Great. All right, let's go back to writing. Back to what we're here to do. Members only. That was the jacket. So members only. Windbreaker nudged me, slipped the wallet into my hand, whispered the cops missed us, and vanished into the crowd. I don't know who he was. Yeah. All right. That's kind of funny. The way he talks his way out of that is funny. All right. Cool. So, all right. And then we don't need this part. Okay. Can the police still prosecute him? Technically, yes. Obstruction, tampering, yeah. But here's why it's hard. No chain of custody. Yeah, this is great. And then it was blown clear of the crime scene perimeter, meaning it wasn't stolen from a crime scene because it's sitting on a public sidewalk. He said, unless Beatrice's house is bugged or a cop was looking through a window, the only witness to Roger holding the wallet is Beatrice. If she fainted. Yeah. Okay. Okay, the tabloid legal team, mid-90s tabloid. I don't need this. Okay, the cops, how they would handle him. Cops would use street justice and intimidation. And then corner him in the driveway. Against the car, head out of sight of camera and say, listen to me, you ghoul. I know you took that wallet if you print a single detail. No. Every uniform work. Oh, so you guys can see what's going on. Miami-Dade will pull you. Yeah. I mean, he is. He doesn't really do the police informant thing. Yeah. Okay. So this is good for now. So. And this is. So this is. We're going to call this. Detective confronts Roger. And there may be a scene where they interact. But we then this would be the dialogue for that scene, basically. So this is another scene. We basically wrote a scene here. But I'm looking through. He's got his D1. So he finds so there's no Polaroid. It's simpler. Right. And then this Roger could show up with his crew before Garvin does, and the mobsters run away. So yeah. So we already got that in his character sheet. Sorry, in his story sheet. So let's go here. Roger meets Garvin. And then Garvin tips Roger off. So we already got that. So I'm going to delete the duplicate. So, and then how Garvin calls Roger, tells him where and when the next kill will be, especially gangsters. So the gangsters are watching it when Roger shows up with a live broad, realize they're next, all scatter. When they hit a choke point, Garvin is waiting for them. All right, so I wrote this down in his character, but it's in the story. So good. So yeah, okay. So we have a detective confronting Roger, right? I'm not sure that this scene will exist, but at least we know the legalities around it. So, okay. And then let's see. Decision 2 makes a deal with Garvin to get tips before Garvin kills his next victim. Actually, he asks Garvin. Give him. Then he interviews Garvin's girlfriend, Tammy Lynn. Maybe he uses the wallet here. All right. Oh, bang. In the wallet. Yeah. That could be funny. What if his dad had a storage facility and that's where he kept all his weapons from Vietnam? Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, this is cool. All right. So remember there was this key idea that I was playing with and yeah, so let me get this down. So yeah, this is decision 2. Oops. So in D2, Roger gives Garvin the wallet. And in it, there is a storage facility card. Garvin hides there. And at some point, opens a trunk and uncovers his father's arsenal. Yeah. Oh, okay. So this brings us into, sorry, we gotta backtrack here because we got some stuff. We got some stuff to deal with. Let's see. Where's Garvin's mom? I don't think I have a story for Garvin's mom. I have a character, but I don't have a story. I got to do a story for Garvin's mom and put that into to-dos. I got to get to-dos, research questions, story for Garvin's mom, and then going back to here. So let's see. Think we got, where's James Robert? Okay, so here we just pulled in some notes. We got some notes here. Notes. Let's bring this up so you guys can see it. And then we hear Garvin's mom tells his father, berates the father for buying him an M60 machine gun. Father tells her it doesn't have ammo, right? And then later, Garvin discovers the storage facility and all the weapons and ammo. It was in the card. It was in the wallet, the card with the information was in the wallet Roger gives Garvin. There we go. So I guess the question is, why wouldn't Roger have looked in the wallet? That's a good question we got to ask. So let's research that. Oops. So there we go. Let's research that. Oh. Oops. Yeah. Oh, 1 second, guys. Somebody at the door. I'll be right back. 1 second. So.
Sun is falling, speed in the black. Nobody driving, we're in the back. To the end of the world. Tides will rise, tides will fall.
All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that delay. So where were we? Yes. So I need to figure out how Garvin, why Roger would not look in the storage facility. So let me ask. Okay. So this gives me a great idea. So Roger, he finds the wallet and it's charred, and later he wants to get an interview with the son of the guy, and he offers him the wallet because the son doesn't have anything, right, of his dad's. So he offers him the wallet, maybe as a, you know, here, as a goodwill gesture or something like that, to try to, bribe him basically into giving him an interview. Um, and then I had an idea that there's a card in the wallet, and that card in the wallet is to a storage facility. So he gets access to the storage facility, and then he is able to get the, he's able to hide out, basically living in it for a bit. So in 1994, were there storage facilities? That's the first question in South Florida. And second of all, if he is in that storage facility, I thought it would be interesting that his father actually kept a bunch of Vietnam memorabilia and basically a lot of weapons from his time in Vietnam. In other words, he had this kind of aura of being a God-fearing, church-going guy, but he still had that not dark side, but he still had his weapons that he got from Nam. And that way Garvin could have access to all the ammunition and stuff that he needs for his M60. The question is, how can we deal with the issue of why didn't Roger look at the storage facility? Right? Why didn't Roger look at the storage facility? Or is there a key that Garvin can get somehow? Because when his mother sees him, she, in jail, before he's out of jail, she basically tells him she sold the house and everything. So I guess that's the question, is all the stuff that, she would have discovered the stuff is the problem. So I'm trying to think of a plausible reason. It's got to be really simple how Garvin could have the key to the storage facility or get the key to the storage facility, not know what's in it, use it as a hiding place, and then discover what's in it. And for that, he needs to know, like, the card of the storage facility, and he needs a key. So, well, he could just pretend to be his dad and just wear glasses and stuff. That could be funny. I don't know. What could he do? To get a key for the unit. In order to get a key for the unit. Not only did storage facilities exist in South Florida in 1994, but Fort Lauderdale is actually credited as the birthplace of the modern commercial self-storage industry. Huh. By 1994, places like Public Storage and independent mini warehouses were everywhere in Miami-Dade and Broward counties. They were exactly as you pictured, row after row of outdoor metal garage doors secured by padlocks. Now for the elegant, simple solution to your plot puzzle. You need a reason why Roger didn't go look, why Garvin gets the key, and why the mother didn't find the stuff. Here's the cleanest way to thread that needle without overcomplicating the narrative. Why didn't Roger look? In 1984, storage facilities didn't have digital fingerprint scanners or facial recognition, but major chains did have automated electronic security gates. To get through the front gate, you needed a plastic magnetic stripe access card, like an old hotel key or credit card, or a specific 4 to 6 digit code printed on the paper card. Roger opens the charred wallet. He finds a plastic access card with handwritten gate code on the back. Roger has the gate card but does not have the physical brass padlock key. Yeah, that's right. So in 94, the facility only controls the perimeter gate. The padlock on the unit door belongs entirely to the customer. Roger can't just stroll in and open the door without a crowbar. For burglary. Roger isn't a burglar. He's a trespass-wielding vulture. He realizes the card code gives him location, but he needs the family to get the actual key, so he uses the wallet as a bribe for Garvin to get the interview. How does Garvin get the key without his mother knowing? The mother told Garvin she sold the house and everything in it. That perfectly sets up why she never found the Vietnam cash. The father kept the storage unit a total secret from his wife. The simple trick: the father didn't keep the key to the storage unit in his wallet, where it'd get ruined or found by his wife. He hid it in a classic, incredibly mundane spot that only his son would know about. When Roger gives Garvin the charred wallet, Garvin sees a storage facility guard. Garvin instantly remembers a specific childhood detail. Dad had a fake, hollowed out shaving cream car in the garage. Shaving cream can. Dad kept a spare key taped under the dashboard of the old junker. Because Beatrice is frantically selling off the estate while Garvin is stuck in jail or dealing with the immediate fallout, Garvin slips away to the property, grabs the hidden key from his secret spot before the new buyers take possession, and hooks up with the gate code Roger provided. Roger sneaks in the 1994 hiding spot. This sets up a Garvin sneaks in, sorry. The 1994 hiding spot. This sets up beautiful greedy sequence. Garvin uses the card Roger gave to slide through the facility's front gate, finds the unit number, and uses his dad's hidden key to pop the heavy padlock. Instead of an empty room, he rolls up the corrugated metal door and finds his dad's secret. Yeah. Why doesn't Garvin just break the padlock of the unit and then just put in a new padlock? So they had a reticent manager who lived on site. Hmm. Yeah, but the hidden key is just a plot device. It would be funnier if Garvin just breaks it. That's more Garvin's thing too. It's just brute force. So if he just looks at the padlock and gets another one that's similar, and these padlocks, they probably weren't that thick or hard anyway. They're inside a secure facility. So I'm leaning towards Garvin is good at like picking locks and stuff. So you know, with brute force, right? He just brings he could sneak in the he could sneak in a sleeve, in a long sleeve or something. Sneak in a bolt cutter. Oh, that is way better. If brute force lockpicking is Garvin's signature move, it's an absolutely run with that. It fits this character so much better than a convenient hidden key, and you're totally right. Comedy and tension are way higher when he just forces his way in. Here's how Garvin can make Garvin's brute force entry hilariously chaotic, visually striking, and completely grounded in 1994 reality. 14-inch sleeve trick. To snap the standard master lock, Garvin doesn't need giant 2-foot construction cutters. A compact pair of 14-inch heavy-duty bolt cutters will do the trick if he has decent upper body strength, which he does. Perfect. I've got that. Copy image. And I will paste this into the lookbook, which I'm preparing for you guys. Great. Bolt cutters. Perfect. Great. The visual of Garvin wandering through a storage facility gate in his stifling 1994 Miami heat, wearing an oversized flannel shirt or baggy windbreaker to hide 14 inches of heavy industrial steel down his sleeve is inherently funny. He'd have to walk completely stiff-armed. The brute force, yeah. To cover his track, Garvin just needs to bring a cheap identical brass padlock he bought at a gas station or hardware store. He snaps his dad's old lock off, slides it off, rolls up the door, steps inside. Once he's inside the unit, he pulls the metal garage door down. But there's the funny thing about it, most of them had a sliding latch system on the inside too. He can slide the interior latch closed to lock himself in, and from the outside he just hangs his new unbroken padlock loosely through the exterior hasp without locking it. To anyone walking up, it looks completely locked up, but he can slip out whenever he wants. Garvin gives you, yep. Garvin can also have a bandage on his arm or something and have the bolt cutters in there. So it's okay. Like this is plausible. So picture him with a ridiculous wrap of white gauze and medical tape from his elbow down to his wrist. To anyone glance, he just looks like a guy who had a nasty accident. It's just solid heavy duty bowl cutters. Yeah. Or he could just have them in his pants. The fashion, everyone was wearing incredibly bad. Oh my god. Jinko jeans, oversized cargo pants, or loose fitting track pants. Yep. Yeah. That's great. Great. Cool. I like the pants. So good. We got something. We got another detail for our little story. Let's bring it in. So this is Garvin. So let's go here. Let's get Garvin going. And this is his character. And we need the story of Garvin. Let's see. Yep. Let's see if it goes into his character or his story. So, the betrayal, the weapon. This makes sense because it's all getting plausible now. So, the ammo, the storage facility, right? Okay, right. Storage facility. Right, and we'll just put here whatever we had pasted. And we'll say Garvin finds a card in his dad's wallet when he gets it from Roger Gust. It's a storage facility. He hides out there. And he finds it, breaks the padlock, and hides out there. Breaks the padlock with a bolt cutter. He smuggles in with his in his pants and hides out there. Boom, 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 boom. In 1984, everyone was wearing incredibly baggy jeans. Everyone's wearing incredibly baggy JNCO jeans, oversized cargo pants, or loose-fitting track pants. Great. And then later, this is the Dark Night of the Soul. Garvin discovers his father's M60 ammo and grenades and other military stuff. Right? This is great. And then we'll get a setup and payoff here. Payoff. When Garvin asks his dad why he didn't stand up for him, Garvin, James Robert says, "You have to stand up for yourself." But when you do, I have your back. I like that. Let's say, man, I keep typing under the screen. I feel bad for you guys. I'm gonna fix this. Let's see. Okay. I have your back. So I'll put in the quote. right? And you. Says dad wasn't a dumb dad. He was a good dad. All right. Cool. So, wow. Let's go back to our research questions. So we got the wallet. We have to research his technologies. What kind of deal could a reporter make? Yeah, we got the deal, right? Because he uses his wallet, right? So this is the one we have to do the MO of reporter reporting on crime and the AV equipment. So almost done here, guys. Let's see. I think we can leave this for the next one because we've been going for quite some time. And I think we made some real advances here, actually, both in Garvin's character, right? So if we look, we added the storage facility dimension, right? And then Roger Gust, we have decision 1 and decision 2, right? And then I don't think Roger would give the wallet. I think maybe Garvin steals the wallet. With the gun. There you go. Why don't you just give me the wallet now? Because Garvin's got guns. Garvin just takes the wallet with the gun. There. Yeah. 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 That's even funnier. Yep. That's funny. So Roger. Okay, so we gotta just clean this last bit up, guys, here. So Roger asks for an interview, or at least a tip for the next crime, if you will. He offers Garvin the wallet from his dad as a bribe for tipping him. And then Roger buys something for Garvin with the charred cash. I think that's such a good thing, but at gunpoint. Right? And then in the wallet, there is a storage facility card. Garvin hides there, and at some point opens a trunk and uncovers his father's arsenal. Cool. So that's D2. It's a funny scene where Garvin has the leverage of violence. Cool. All right. And then this detective scene becomes less interesting because the wallet's gone. But I'll keep it there for now in case you want to use it. All right, guys, that was it. We got some good good plot questions resolved today, using a little bit of research. Check it out. Like, we went through this, and I'm gonna actually bring down the stuff we haven't done. So this is the pending research. Is more about Roger Gust's AV equipment, the MO reporters reporting on crime at the time. I'd want to learn more about his methodology and what he uses, maybe tape recorders or something. And then research Roger Gust's technologies like his instant camera, Polaroid, or tape recorders. And all right, so that's where we're at. And I think this is actually a good stopping point because we got so much accomplished. We have Garvin's, we just created the storage facility, which explains everything about the M60. Basically, how Garvin gets his M60 machine gun. That's an important bit. That's done. We really drew out Roger Gust's character stealing the wallet, then trying to give it to Garvin, and then Garvin just taking it from him at gunpoint. And then, so that's a nice, simple plot point. Simple is better, guys, whenever you can. And then, let's see. Well, let's see, the story, okay, Roger. And then we got the ironic Garvin tipping off Roger, and it turns out that what he's tipping him off is to get rid of the Vanta gang. So he uses Roger. And then James Robert, we show that she's upset about the M60 machine gun. You know, he loves Rambo, right? He loves Rambo. Yeah, it doesn't have ammo. And she's like, he's 22 years old. The thing about his mom is she's pretty much right, but she's mean about it, you know? So she's one of those people who's right, but mean. All right, guys. That, I think, is a good stopping point for us today. Right? Because, boy, did we cover quite a bit. And we still got to do Whitey Jackson, the police. There's still like secondary and tertiary characters we got to figure out. But I'm going to get to an outline with our primary characters before I start looking into the tertiary characters. I want to make sure that the whole story makes cohesive sense, and then we'll fill those in probably on the second pass of the outline. Like, we'll get to a treatment, you know, that's nice and complete, and then we'll fill in the secondary characters or tertiary characters like the Booby Boys characters. And then once those are all filled in, then we'll put it all together and expand it into the first act, into the first draft, which is going to be exciting. So yeah, this is great. Oh, and you know what? I haven't done my ritual of saying hello to nobody in the chat. Hello, everybody. In the ghost chat. It's so funny. I'm going to put a ghost here. I'm going to go into the emojis, and I'm just going to put ghost. And then there we go. And I'll send that off to the ether. Cool. All right, guys, it's been almost 90 minutes, so we got to go. But thank you so much. And before you go, I will leave you with, let's see what we got here. Oh, there it is. So I will leave you with this. You know, do you want to learn this craft? If so, there is, you know, I'm a professional script doctor. Oh, what am I doing? I'm ruining this for you guys. I'm gonna do that again. Yeah. There we go. That's what we're looking for. I see your pretty faces again. Okay. And then what I was saying is, I'm a professional script doctor, and if you want to learn the exact tools demonstrated in this video that working writers use to write, rewrite, and develop stories quickly, I have a lecture at this right there that will show you how. And these tools apply to any form of narrative storytelling, screenplays, novels, comics, televisions, games, all of it. It includes full scene breakdowns from well-known films and hands-on guidance for anyone serious about telling stories. So it is the premium version of the free course that I offer on my channel. The free version gives you the ideas, and this course really shows you how to use them and uses a lot of examples. And then for those of you who choose to support us, a portion of every sale supports the Arts Accelerator, a nonprofit dedicated to developing the skills of emerging artists. So thank you so much. If you do, Arts Accelerator is a 501c3. You can find out more about it at artsaccelerator.org. And that's about it. If you've watched this long, thank you so much for everything, for your time and attention. And I hope you found this useful. If you have any questions, leave them down in a comment. I'll see you next time.